Hey everybody, Ed here with the Digital Digest, and today I wanted to share a quick unboxing and first look at the docking station for the Microsoft Surface Pro. This is compatible with both the first and second gen Surface Pro, and basically it's a $200 dock at retail at launch, and it's slowly making its way into retail channels now. And it's going to allow you to seamlessly transition from using the Surface Pro out in the field to then at home or in the office, anywhere where you really need it to be the computer that it is rather than just the tablet. And that's not to say that it can't be done without making the transition with a dock like this, because there are other options, but this is the most seamless, the cleanest looking. After all, it is made specifically for the Surface Pro. So you can see right there an array of ports, and that's the idea here for $200, which is pricey, admittedly, even for something that you could argue was built from the ground up. It's a unique design, although it does remind me of some products from years past. You do get a nice array of ports. You can see the power ports on the far left. You'll see this when I get this out of the box. Mini display port for your video out. You get 3 USB 2.0 ports, audio in and out, Ethernet connection, which is critical for some of you, especially in a work environment. And then finally, a single USB 3.0. So let me go ahead and get this thing unboxed. Typical Surface packaging, a pull tab right over here. You know, pretty simple, and that's kind of the idea with Surface, is that, you know, you get strong functionality with very little compromise. And that usually comes through even on the packaging. So let's see if I can just slide it out of here. Should be fairly easy. And I'm expecting good build quality. This is a product, by the way, that originally was supposed to have been out earlier. A little bit of a delay, no question about that. But it's finally here. And it's important because Surface Pro has been really popular, and this is a must-have accessory. And that's why Microsoft can charge that $200 price point that even I'm not a big fan of, but still, admittedly, for the transition or the entire transformation that this allows it to have, it's a pretty big one. The dock itself feels well made. I'm not sure that it's made of anything beyond plastic. Let me get the actual plastic off of it in a moment. Let's see what else is in here. Letting you know to check Windows Update prior to use. I'm assuming for anyone running the first generation, there may be some things, not that the second gen wouldn't also be susceptible to needing some firmware updates related to general Windows updates for functionality with this. But let's see what's inside here. I'm expecting the power brick, and that's exactly what we've got. Surface branding everywhere, which is interesting because you don't necessarily expect, you know, to see branding even on something like this. After all, this is just a power brick. But for Microsoft, this is more than just a power brick in a sense, because Surface Pro really is their first piece of hardware other than the Xbox, so really their first computer, which says a lot since they are the largest software manufacturer or company in the world. So we've got our cable connection for the wall that gets hooked up right here to the actual power brick itself. And this is nice that we do get this. It may sound silly that I'm actually mentioning that, but these days, when you buy docks, even at expensive prices, a good example, not that I'm comparing it to the Asus Transformer line directly, that's not a computer, but, you know, for around $140, $130, as much as you get, they don't include an actual charging device. They do force you to rely on the included charger with the tablet. A little bit of paperwork here. I'll also be curious to see if we actually get better charge time or quicker charge time on the dock. Some instructions right here. I'll get it up to the camera so you guys can see. Basically just, again, a list of the ports and then giving you succinct instructions on how to properly dock it. And that's what's really nice about this. If you haven't already seen the Surface Pro docked on this station, it's just seamless. It's easy. There's no fuss, you know, no problems. And considering the pain that the Surface Pro charging cable represents, that's actually in itself a big deal. Just a quick start guide there, and let me just get the box out of the way, and let's get to the actual docking, because I want to unwrap it and get the Surface Pro on the station. Now just knock these things out of the way, and here we go. Let's get the plastic off. Of course, who doesn't love a good, ridiculously large amount of plastic coating? Looks like I have freed it. All right, so I already showed the ports on the diagram. Now you see them live and, well, I can't say in person, but as close as you're going to get. And yeah, everything's there. And the idea, again, is really simple, that you've got that seamless transition. No problem with having a horde of wires, or at least if you do have a horde, they're going to be right here, not all over the place with other docking solutions, because there are a lot of solutions that just utilize, the USB port to give you a whole host of capabilities for video out, things like that. So there are definitely going to be a lot of attempts to mimic this. Nothing's going to really come that close, though, to the overall look and finish. This is the matching color, of course, to the Surface Pro. It is not made of that material, the same material that the actual Surface Pro is. I can tell you that right now from the feel. It is plastic, but still weighty considering it's plastic. You can see on the left side, we've got the USB port, because that's going to actually hook into the Surface Pro when docked. And then on the right side, you've got the Pogo charging port, as well as your display port out. That's a micro display port. So really, the entire function comes down to just actually sliding this out. You're looking at the entire docking right there. So the Surface Pro just sits down and you close it. So really seamless. There's no lining things up. It's clear that Microsoft at least tried to approach this from a well thought out game plan, because too many times do things like this come out and they're just not finished, and it's unfortunate. So with that said, out comes the Surface Pro, and I've already got the actual type cover attached to it, and that's for a simple reason, which is that it actually is compatible with the type covers. For those of you curious, I'll answer that question now. So basically, just going to line it up, and you can see it sits there perfectly, and then that's it. It's now hooked up. If I did have the actual power hooked up, we would be getting a charge. I'm not going to do that right now. Just wanted to show the actual look. And it's just really clean, especially with the fact that you can have the cover on there. And you could actually work with the cover if you chose to, and just, leave it open, as long as it's obviously close enough to your workspace to be feasible. And then when you're done, just pop it open and you're good to go. You just pick it up. That's it. So a really cool design, I have to say, that it's not often you're going to hear me compliment a manufacturer on how they approach trying to, I would say, not redesign, but reinvent what we often expect on an accessory like this. $200, definitely a lot, or a very steep price to pay for this sort of, I'm not going to call it innovation, but really highly polished accessory. As opposed to the general plastic that I'm used to sharing. Even if it's functional plastic, it often isn't this good looking. So a lot of credit to Microsoft on this. I will update all of you on the experience, but really the only thing, I expect everything to work as it should. The only thing I'm really curious about is the charging, and I believe it charges at the same rate. But either way, you should start to see these slowly trickle in, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, into the retail channels out there. Best Buy, Amazon. Microsoft said they would be in stock in the first quarter of 2014. So again, I can see why so many people would want this, because Surface Pro is a hit and both generations sold well, even though the second one hasn't been out that long. It's just one of those devices that there's nothing else like it on the market. And now with this dock, you really have a device that's completely unmatched, because no device is already going to give you this sort of functionality in this form factor of a full Windows 8.1 experience. Really not a compromise like a lot of the other devices that are Windows 8.1 driven that I've reviewed already, the 32-bit driven ones that are based around Bay Trail, the Atom quad-core chip, which aren't designed for more power like the Surface Pro. Granted, the Surface Pro is still running on a low-voltage Haswell chip, first generation Ivy Bridge, less power optimization there. That's why you have less battery life, because the actual battery in both the original Surface Pro and the Surface Pro 2 is exactly the same size. So this is just a great complement. And for anyone right now that owns the Surface Pro and or Pro 2 and has been waiting to get something that really is just about a must-have, especially since the type or touch cover is really a matter of personal preference, this I think is a must-have. Of course, it is expensive, as I've said now 3 times through the video. It will go on sale, I anticipate, but since it's brand new, I guess that'll all be a matter of how well it actually sells. But wanted to share it with all of you. Was excited to finally get it. It isn't a game changer, but it certainly is going to change the way all of you use your Surface Pro and 2nd Gen Pro. Any questions or comments, please feel free to post them. And of course, as usual, please feel free to subscribe. Later.